we're back with Dr. Creado, and this is so interesting and so helpful. We're talking about sleep issues. And Dr. Creado, before we jump into restless leg, I really liked something you talked about in the last segment with sleep apnea and how hard it is for people to get used to their masks. But it reminds me of something. It's about taking care of yourself and loving yourself. And when I first met you, we mentioned in the last segment that you lost weight and it helped your snoring. But when I first met you and we were getting serious and engaged, and it was hard for me because you snored and I'm like, I can't sleep. This is really affecting my sleep. It's like, do you throw the relationship away because of something, or do you figure out a way to fix it, right? So I started wearing earplugs, and you like to read at night, so I started wearing an eye mask, and I did that because I love the relationship. So why would you not figure out a way to wear a CPAP machine because you love yourself? I'm confused by that.
I would have hated to have lost you over that.
Right. I would have
now I'm about to have a panic attack now.
No, my point is it would have been silly. It would have been silly.
We're going to have to use Dr. Creado's therapy techniques with us. No. All right, because we don't have a lot of time. 3 minutes on restless leg. How do you know if you have it, and what do you do about it? And then I want to talk about dreams. What's the cliff notes?
Tends to be a misnomer because people say, oh, my legs shake all the time while I'm in class, while I'm at work. I must have restless legs. No, restless leg syndrome is a very specific disorder, and it's a clinical diagnosis. So if someone has a weird sensation in their legs, maybe some people describe it as pulling, burning, pain, irritation, various terms to define how they feel about it. Number one, that's worse at night or worse at rest, and relieved by movement, they may have restless leg syndrome. Now, it's not just the legs, as I said, it's a misnomer. So 21 to 54% of people also report some arm movements as well. It's under a group of conditions called sleep-related movement disorders in sleep medicine, kind of like periodic limb movements of sleep. They might be having sleep leg cramps, or rhythmic movement disorder, or myoclonus, which are little jerks when they're falling asleep. So it's very important to understand whether in fact it is restless legs or one of those conditions, or neuropathy or nerve damage. Now, if someone has restless leg syndrome, the first thing we need to do is, again, with anything we do in medicine, look for the underlying cause. Don't just throw medications at this condition. Figure out why this is happening. One of the most common causes is iron deficiency or abnormal iron metabolism.
Oh.
So I always want to make sure my patients have good iron levels, but not just iron levels, but also a storage form of iron called ferritin. And even if it's within normal limits, I want to see it above 75, and the normal limit, it might be at 50. That's not good enough for us, because iron helps in producing dopamine. And one of the most common medication treatments for restless legs, for example, is a dopamine agonist like Mirapex or Requip, medications like that. So there is a growing body of evidence to suggest that dopamine abnormalities may result in restless leg syndrome.
Oh, that's so fascinating.
So, which is why ADD children are hyperactive. And
there is
which
a
is a
correlation
deficiency
between ADD and restless leg syndrome.
Oh, I'm so fascinated. I always thought it was like magnesium, and
which
it's
is often
iron.
a deficiency of ferritin. So we often see kids who have low ferritin levels. Now, just so people who've heard me speak before, high ferritin's not great for you because it increases heart disease and dementia, causes internal rusting. It's about what's optimal, which is, as Dr. Creado was saying, is around 80 to 100. If it gets above 300, I think you should actually get bled because...
Don't go buy leeches, just go donate blood.
Donate, yeah, that's the whole thing between us.
So I have a question. So what qualifies as restless leg? If you obviously have an occasional episode of this, does that qualify as restless leg, or does it have to be,
It could be you just traveled.
Right, like you slay dragons when you get home.
I always go with my patients' goals. So if it's causing them to have disrupted sleep or not being able to fall asleep or really troubling them for more than 15, 20 minutes most nights, let's treat that. Let's figure out the underlying cause. Okay. Is it low iron? Is it caffeine, alcohol, Women who are pregnant may develop restless legs, and it may subside once they've delivered the baby. Sleep deprivation can result in restless leg syndrome. Diabetes, um, antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications are notorious for this. Of course, the one exception may be Wellbutrin because it doesn't act on serotonin. Antihistaminics, anti-allergy medications like Benadryl, hydroxyzine can also worsen it. Antipsychotic medications can worsen or trigger restless legs. Dopamine blocking anti-nausea medications can also worsen it. So we need to figure out what's causing it. In fact, people who have obstructive sleep apnea may have the restless legs, and if the sleep apnea is corrected, the restless legs
Oh,
can
wow.
resolve.
What about a magnesium deficit? I mean, I heard 80% of the population is low in magnesium.
Yes, magnesium is important, and some studies have shown benefit for restless legs with magnesium supplementation. So
Interesting.
if it's deficient, we should supplement.
All right. Well, we promised them, and I think this is what a lot of people are waiting on, is talking about dreams.
So interesting.
Why do we dream, and what the heck do they mean?
Yeah. Well, this is one of the reasons I got into sleep medicine is because I did my psychiatry training, and I studied one of my mentors. He's written books. He's a psychoanalyst who trained in Harvard, and he's written books on dream analysis. And so I worked with him processing patients' dreams. And dreams tend to occur in dream sleep or rapid eye movement sleep. If you look at the EEG on the polysomnogram, you know when someone is going to dream sleep. And in those times, people dream. But Freud once said that dreams are a combination of what you've experienced in the past, the stimuli you're experiencing while you're asleep, and anticipation of future issues as well. The hippocampi primarily create the dreamscape. The right and left hippocampi map the topography of the dream and the timescape to create the dreamscape. And I've used dream analysis frequently with my patients in processing what they're experiencing and how it maps onto their current life situation. In fact, they've done experiments on rats where they've had rats with electrodes go through mazes, and then they look at the areas that are active in the brain, and then they record the rat's sleep. And in dream sleep, the same areas of the rat's brains are active. So we're really cycling through what we're experiencing every day in our dreams. For example, a lot of our patients with anxiety disorders frequently have dreams of being chased or in dangerous situations because that's what they're cycling through while they're awake. And no wonder they can't fall asleep. A lot of people suffer from middle of the night insomnia, where they're waking up in the middle of the night and cannot fall back asleep. They say, I don't know why I woke up. Well, dream sleep is more common in the later half of the night. That's when you start your dream cycles. And so they might be waking up in a panic, their heart racing, their blood pressure going up, them waking up in sweats, because you're reliving what you're experiencing every day and anticipating the next day.
So I have a question. So when I was younger, I had this sort of these weird recurring, I guess you'd call them nightmares, that someone was chasing me, which you just described, and that right before I would get caught, I would take off flying, and the flying was really hard. Initially, I couldn't fly, but then all of a sudden I'd start flying, and I was up above what was happening, and it was the coolest thing. I'd be like up above it, but it was always like this like really intense pressure, like about to be caught, and then I would fly. Do you hear a lot of people talking about flying in their dreams?
No idea.
Oh yeah, no, it was terrible. It was always like really
Sounds
scary.
really cool.
Yeah, well, it is in the end, but the almost getting caught.
So
part
what would
was
you
always
do
terrible.
with that, Shay?
But wait, do you hear a lot of people talk about flying in their dreams to get out of
I
situations? Or
I do, and it's important to remember that we shouldn't go to Google or look at what what they think dreams mean because it's really individualized.
Okay.
So I always dig in really deeper with my patients. I know what they've been going through life. I know how it maps onto what they're currently experiencing. So in cases where people tend to escape from a dangerous situation, not necessarily flying, but escaping from a dangerous situation, it tends to be metaphors. The subconscious mind speaks to us through metaphors and brings to our awareness what we need to be aware of, what we usually suppress with our conscious minds. So in this case, I would think it maps onto escapism, really. As kids, you may create these imaginary friends, kids who've been traumatized may actually experience derealization or depersonalization, where they feel that they're alternate realities and things like that. So in the dreamscape, it might represent a form of escapism where you're getting out of that scary situation by having powers you wouldn't otherwise have in the real world.
Interesting. Yeah,
Let
it
me
was
give you an
fascinating.
example of a veteran I treated a few years ago who had severe PTSD, and his symptoms were all really well controlled with our treatment protocol. But one day he came to me and he said, "Oh, my PTSD has come back." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, I had a terrible nightmare. I dreamt I was back in Vietnam." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, I dreamt that I was in Vietnam. I had my gun ready. There were three Viet Cong approaching behind a wall, and I was ready for them. And then I looked down and my gun is missing."
Oh,
I said, "What do you do?" He said, "Well, I panicked in my dream, but I waited for the first guy to come around. I tackled him and, dealt with the other two." So he saved himself in the dream. And through understanding where it happened just before he went to sleep, it turned out that he had forgotten to take his nighttime medicine. Now, with the medications he was on, they would last in his body for a few days. So it wasn't like the symptoms would come roaring back. But the metaphor his subconscious used was, in Vietnam, his weapon was the gun. Now, his weapon is his medications to fight against these symptoms. He was missing his medication or his weapon in Vietnam, but in spite of that, he could overcome his symptoms. He could overcome the situation and survive. So it's really fascinating what our dreams can tell us about our own resilience.
oh, that's so interesting.
And I love the idea that you talked about dreams often will speak to us in metaphors. And if you can understand the metaphor, Louis Gottschalk, who was the chairman of the department at UC Irvine and was my neighbor for a long time, so I loved his work. He was really a pioneer. He wrote a book about dreams, and he said to understand dreams, you really need to understand three things, so that each dream tends to contain a wish or a fear, something from the past, and a current event that triggers it. Does that fit with your experience?
Yes, that's what Carl Jung would speak about with dream fulfillment, fears that have not been really faced, or accomplishments not yet achieved, or goals that you're reaching toward. So it really maps well onto what Carl Jung spoke about and Freud spoke about, and what we know from modern neurobiology with the areas of the brain responsible for dreams.
Well, that would certainly fit with what I like,
With
the
your-
almost being caught and then getting away from
So,
the
so
situation.
this is what. So our niece, who we talk about on this show, both our nieces were taken by Child Protective Services to foster care because their mom and dad, were not right.
They just had there was
And
an
so
issue.
we really helped her mom get together. She got her kids back a year ago, Mother's Day, and but my 13-year-old niece, she had this recurrent dream of being in the red truck, and it always happened. She'd always wake up at 1:10 in the morning, and she was afraid. And so what I have my patients do whenever they have a recurrent dream is before they go to bed, finish it. So imagine it, but then put an ending on it
I like that.
that is safe and really go through it. And what is really cool is it tends to then stop because they'll have a dream or two where they actually finish it in a more positive way, and then it'll stop.
I don't know. I mean, I don't have your education in this or experience, and so I would love to hear your feedback. And as somebody who just was doing what I knew how to do sort of intuitively to deal with stuff, something that helped me, one, was meditation and visualization. Really helped with just visualizing, safety and whatever, going through my day and doing that on a daily basis. But also, oddly enough, things like practicing karate. So doing some things that for me felt empowering.
Yes.
I don't know why, but those dreams went away. So
Because you were finishing them in a more positive way.
I felt empowered. And I don't know if that had any connection, but it felt to me like I feel more empowered in my daily life, and somehow that went away. I didn't start karate for that reason. I just noticed that it tended to go away.
Well, and what Shane's talking about is dreams as metaphors. So you have developed other metaphors that are healthier. Shane, this was just great. We have to stop, but we have to do this again.
Yeah.
You're going to come out and we're going to film a whole course. We should make dreams part of it, because I think
like it. Yeah.
people are just so interested in it. Dr. Shane Creado, he is in our Chicago clinic until the fall, when he's going to move to New York. If you have a sleep problem, you would actually set up a phone consult with Dr. Creado. He's so helpful. I use him for many of my patients, and I am just so grateful you're part of our Amen Clinics family.
Thank you so much. So fascinating.
With you guys.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure seeing you and talking to you guys today.
Use the code podcast10 to get a 10% discount on a full evaluation at amenclinics.com or on our supplements at brainmdhealth.com. Thank you for listening to the Brain Warriors Way podcast. Go to iTunes and leave a review, and you'll automatically be entered into a drawing to get a free signed copy of the Brain Warriors Way and the Brain Warriors Way cookbook we give away every month.